Peter Pan by J.M. Barrie. Chapter 11, Wendy's Story. Listen then, said Wendy, settling down to her story with Michael at her feet and 7 boys in the bed. There was once a gentleman.
I'd rather he had been a lady,
Curly said.
I wish he had been a white rat,
said Nibs. Quiet, their mother admonished them. There was a lady also, and...
Oh, Mummy,
cried the first twin.
you mean that there is a lady also, don't you? She is not dead, is she?
Oh, no,
I'm awfully glad she isn't dead.
said Tootles.
Are you glad, John?
Of course I am.
Are you glad, Nibs?
Rather.
Are you glad, twins?
We are glad.
Oh, dear, sighed Wendy.
Little less noise there.
Peter called out, determined that she would have fair play, however beastly a story it might be in his opinion. The gentleman's name, Wendy continued, was Mr. Darling, and her name was Mrs. Darling.
I knew them.
John said, to annoy the others.
I think I knew them.
Said Michael, rather doubtfully. They were married, you know, explained Wendy. And what do you think they had?
White rats,
Cried Nibs, inspired. No,
It is awfully puzzling.
said Tootles, who knew the story by heart. Quiet, Tootles. They had 3 descendants.
What is descendants?
Well, you are one, twin,
Did you hear that, John? I am a descendant.
Descendants are only children.
said John. Oh, dear, sighed Wendy. Now, these 3 children had a faithful nurse called Nana, but Mr. Darling was angry with her and chained her up in the yard, and so all the children flew away,
It's an awfully good story.
said Nibs. They flew away, Wendy continued, to the Neverland, where the lost children are.
I just thought they did.
Curly broke in excitedly.
I don't know how it is, but I just thought they did.
Oh, Wendy,
Cried Tootles.
was one of the lost children called Tootles?
Yes, he was.
I am in a story, hurrah! I am in a story, Nibs.
Hush. Now I want you to consider the feeling of unhappy parents when all their children flown away.
Ooh.
They all moaned, though they all were not considering the feelings of the unhappy parents one jot. Think of the empty beds,
Ooh. It's awfully sad.
the first twin said cheerfully.
I don't see how it can have a happy ending.
Said the second twin.
Do you, Nibs?
I'm frightfully anxious.
If you knew how great is a mother's love, Wendy told them triumphantly, you would have no fear. She had now come to the part that Peter hated.
I do like a mother's love.
Said Tootles, hitting Nibs with a pillow.
Do you like a mother's love, Nibs?
I do just.
Said Nibs, hitting back. You see, Wendy said complacently, our heroine knew that the mother would always leave the window open for her children to fly back by. So they stayed away for years and had a lovely time.
Did they ever go back?
Let us now, said Wendy, bracing herself up for her finest effort, take a peep into the future. And they all gave themselves the twist that makes peeps into the future easier. Years have rolled by, and who is this elegant lady of uncertain age alighting at London Station?
Oh, Wendy, who is she?
Cried Nibs, every bit as excited as if he didn't know. Can it be? Yes? No? Is it? The fair Wendy!
Oh!
And who are the 2 noble, portly figures accompanying her, now grown to men's estate? Can they be John and Michael? They are!
Oh!
See, dear brothers, said Wendy, pointing upward. There is the window still standing open. Ah, now we are rewarded for our sublime faith in a mother's love. So up they flew to their mummy and daddy, and pen cannot describe the happy scene over which we draw a veil. That was the story, and they were as pleased with it as the fair narrator herself. Everything just as it should be, you see. Off we skipped like the most heartless things in the world. which is what children are, so attractive. And we have an entirely selfish time. And then, when we have need of special attention, we nobly return for it, confident that we shall be rewarded instead of smacked. So great indeed was their faith in mother's love, that they felt they could afford to be callous for a bit longer. But there was one there who knew better, and when Wendy finished, he uttered a hollow groan. "What is it, Peter?" she cried, running to him, thinking he was ill. She felt him solicitously running lower down than his chest. "Where is it, Peter?"
It isn't that kind of pain.
Peter replied darkly. "Then what kind is it?"
Wendy, you are wrong about mothers.
They all gathered round him in a fright. So alarming was his agitation that with a fine candor he told them what he had hitherto concealed.
Long ago,
He said,
I thought, like you, that my mother would always keep the window open for me. So I stayed away for moons and moons and moons and then flew back. But the window was barred, for mother had forgotten all about me. And there was another little boy sleeping in my bed.
I am not sure that this was true, but Peter thought it was true, and it scared them.
Are you sure mothers are like that?
Yes.
So this was the truth about mothers. The toads! Still, it is best to be careful, and no one knows so quickly as a child when he should give in.
Wendy, let us go home.
Cried John and Michael together. Yes, she said, clutching them.
Not tonight.
Asked the lost boys, bewildered. They knew in what they called their hearts that one can get on quite well without a mother, and that it is only the mothers who think you can't. At once, Wendy replied resolutely, for the horrible thought had come to her. Perhaps mother is in half mourning by this time. This dread made her forgetful of what must be Peter's feelings, and she said to him rather sharply, "Peter, will you make the necessary arrangements?"
If you wish it.
He replied as coolly as if she had asked him to pass the nuts. Not so much as a sorry to lose you between them. If she did not mind the parting, he was going to show her, was Peter, that neither did he. But of course he cared very much, and he was so full of wrath against grown-ups who, as usual, were spoiling everything, that as soon as he got inside his tree, he breathed intentionally quick, short breaths at the rate of about 5 to a second. He did this because there is a saying in the Netherland that every time you breathe, a grown-up dies, and Peter was killing them off vindictively as fast as possible. Then, having given the necessary instructions to the Redskins, he returned to the home, where an unworthy scene had been enacted in his absence. Panic-stricken at the thought of losing Wendy, the lost boys had advanced upon her threateningly.
It'll be worse than before she came.
They cried.
We shan't let her go.
Let's keep her prisoner.
Aye, chain her up.
In her extremity, an instinct told her to which of them to turn. "Tootles," she cried, "I appeal to you."